Throughout my own life and fitness journey, I have had the privilege of meeting incredible people who've shared valuable insights on mindset, health, fitness, and spiritual growth. The profound impact of this knowledge on my own life has inspired me to share it with all of you. I'm Erica Sweeney, host and founder of My Fit Tribe podcast. Join me as we explore inspiring conversations with experts, thought leaders, and everyday heroes who offer their stories and practical tips to help you on your own journey. From nutrition and fitness to mental well-being and personal or spiritual growth, our mission is to empower you to take charge of your health and live your best life. We are more than just a podcast, we are a community. Through coaching, a wealth of shared knowledge, and a strong support network, we are here to guide and encourage you every step of the way. Come be a part of our tribe. Organizing is one of those powerful life hacks that can simplify so many aspects of daily life. This week, I'm joined by Tracy Bowers, who shares her expert tips, practical strategies, and insight into how thoughtful organization can truly transform your space and your mindset. We also dive into the emotional side of letting go, especially when it comes to sentimental items. Tracy brings a level of compassion to the process that makes it feel not only manageable, but meaningful. Let's unpack this together. Today on the My Fit Tribe podcast, I'm excited to introduce Tracy Bowers, the founder of Organize Simply. Since launching her business in 2014, Tracy has brought decades of organizing experience to every space she touches. As a mother of 5, she truly understands how thoughtful systems can support the flow of daily life. Her approach blends expertise with intuition, creating spaces that are not only functional, but calm, beautiful, and tailored to each individual. Hello, Tracy. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, Erica. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited that we could connect for this conversation because there is just so much to talk about. And I was saying before the show that I spend time on your website and it makes me happy.
Oh, good. It makes me happy too.
So before we get into like the logistics of what you do and everything, let's talk a little bit about how you got into this. How did this become your passion?
I have just, ever since I was a little girl, I've just loved order. And I have a mom who struggles with ADHD, but she loved things to be clean and neat. So I got that appreciation when I was young, but then she struggled with clutter and things trying to keep up. And the simplest things would bother me. My earliest memory of clutter bothering me was when my mom was having me pick up my room, and because of where I lived, I must have just been like 4 or 5 years old. And I remember these brown canisters sitting on my bedpost, and there was just little pieces of things everywhere, and they were put in this brown canister. And I asked my mom, it's like, Mom, where do I put this stuff? And she goes, oh, just leave it in there. It's fine. And she picked up more stuff and just threw it in there. And I remember it just really bothering me. It's like, no, I want to put it away. I didn't like that pile of junk in that brown canister. It bothered me. And so I think back, it's like, wow, I had issues a long time ago. It started very young, but I just loved to clean and to organize and to keep things tidy. And I'm not a super clean person as far as I make a mess when I'm working. Things drop. It doesn't bother me that, things get messy, but when it's time to put things away, it needs to be immaculate. It needs to be perfect, and everything has to have a home. With our family, with the 5 kids, we had a very busy life. Was your house all perfect and clean and organized every minute? No, absolutely not. We had a million things going in, coming and going, backpacks would be dropped, water bottles dropped, things would be a mess. But we'd come home, and when it was time to pick it up, everybody knew where things went. And we could quickly put things back together when we needed to.
That's important because I think sometimes with everybody, as you mentioned, having that busy life of, trying to, based on convenience and time, you tend to put things off and maybe not find a home for them. And then as more time goes by, there's more stuff and there's less homes, right. And it really snowballs really quickly.
It does. It does. Having a place for everything is Huge. It's huge. I mean, down to your paper clip, I mean, every little thing in your home should have a place that it belongs. Your junk drawer shouldn't just be a bunch of miscellaneous stuff. It should have organizers where this is where the batteries go, this is where the scissors go. When there's other things in there, they need to be taken away and put back to where they belong, into their homes. Sometimes it's a process and it can be overwhelming. Somebody like me, it's enjoyable and I like creating systems and finding homes. And it's a gift I obviously have had. I was born with it. Not everybody has that gift. We all have our own gifts. I don't want anyone to ever feel bad because, oh, I'm such a slob, I'm so messy, or whatever. My mom is, like I said, she struggles with ADHD, but she's an amazing woman and has all these gifts and brilliant and reads and knowledgeable. I can't read, I can't do math. I'm actually dyslexic. And so things are really, really hard for me, but the organizing isn't. So we just need to embrace the gifts that we've been given and help each other out. And nobody should ever feel bad about it. But there's things that I like to share that help people who struggle to create those systems. So it's easier for them and they're able to maintain and not feel so much chaos in their lives, getting some of those systems set up.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because there is a lot of shame, again, because things can feel so out of control and you don't know where to start. So that shame kicks in real quick, like, oh, I should have, but I didn't. And so now I won't. It's just a mind game we play.
You don't want any shame. And you know what? We just worked with a client who was almost 90. I don't think she's quite 90 yet. It has lots and lots of stuff, and she didn't want to get rid of anything. Her daughter hired us to come in and help. And it's like, you know what? She wants to keep her stuff. Let her keep her stuff. Don't try and make her get rid of things. Why make her feel horrible? We just cleaned things up, set up systems so that we could utilize the space better and more efficiently, but let her keep all of her things. So, with the shame too, I know people are trying to help their older parents. We need to get them to declutter. We need them to get rid of stuff, and don't make people feel bad. Work with them. The thing is, when we do come in and help somebody declutter, even if they say we're keeping everything, once we pull things out and group them into like categories, they're 99% of the time they end up getting rid of things anyways. Because if you're just digging in one bag at a time or one box at a time, yeah, I want all this. It isn't until you pull it all out, the different categories together, and see what you actually have. Always, they're like, oh, I didn't know I had 10 of those. Okay, we can get some. Oh, you found the purple one. Okay, we can get rid of the green one then. It's always that way. We can do that as professional organizers because we can come in with a full team of 5, 8 and just knock it out in a day. So we pull it all out and then we're able to put it all back together with so many hands. If you're doing your own organizing project or helping a loved one, you're not going to want to do that. I know Marie Kondo says, oh, pull it all out. Don't pull it all out, because then you're not going to have time to put it back in that day. And it's just going to cause more chaos. Yeah. So when you do have an organizing project, you want to start small, start maybe with one category, and focus on that, and you'll feel that win and that success when you finish that, and you'll be excited about doing the next step or the next category.
I'm so glad that you touched on what's on the emotional side of it, because there is that emotional side of clearing things out, getting rid of things. How did you go from being good at it and doing it for yourself to turning into helping other people?
Well, like I said, mom of 5, I wanted to be home with my kids. And so while they were at school, I would occasionally help organize for a long-term friend of mine that I helped her clean her room when she was a little girl. We were neighbors and she'd say, oh, let's play. And it's like, oh, no, let's clean your room. And I'd get so excited wanting to clean her room. So I did that as a little girl. Then when I moved closer to her as an adult, I would do the same thing. I'd go over to visit. Our kids would hang out and I'll say, oh, let's do your drawers, and I'd want to clean. She says, you know what? You should do this for, and make money doing it. And I'm like, no, I don't know. And she said, no, you could. It's like, how on earth would I start that? What would I even do? She goes, I'll just tell my friends and we'll get you started. And so I'm like, well, okay. So she told a couple of her friends and I started working for them. They told their friends but I didn't know that organizing was a thing. I just thought I was good at cleaning. But when I cleaned, I organized and set up systems as well. And so I did that for like $15 an hour. And I had people knocking down the doors wanting me to come and organize or clean for them, you know. But I wasn't making any money and it was a lot of work. And so I bought a franchise of a totally different company for about 6 years that I was doing to bring in some money. It was something else I could do while my kids were at school. But in 2014, I discovered Marie Kondo's book, and it was all of a sudden all the rage to organize. I'm like, whoa, this is awesome. And I read about other organizers, and I told my husband, Dan, I can make money doing this. He's like, yeah, you've tried that before. It does not make money, it just takes up your time. And it's like, no, I think I can make money doing it. And so I told him I wanted to sell our franchise, which was finally doing really well. And he's like, Tracy, you are crazy. And it's like, he says, you're making money finally with this, and now you want to go back to what made nothing. It's like, no, I believe it. No, I know I want to do this. This is fun for me. He's like, okay, whatever. And so I sold my franchise and I told people I was going to do organizing. I joined NAPO, National Association of Professional Organizers, is what it was called at the time. And I went to meetings with other organizers. I said I would assist other organizers. So I'd go on jobs and it gave me confidence. It's like, well, I could do what they're doing. It's like, I need to start my own business. So I came up with a name, took out a business license, and just let people know that I did organizing. And it took a while because my old clients were like so excited. It's like, oh, you're back. And it's like, well, now I'm charging $45 an hour instead of 15, which was still nothing, for a
Right.
professional organizer. So I didn't have as many clients. Then I had to learn how to market and my prices, went up. That's a professional organizer. The average is like $75 an hour. It took a couple years where I was really started building up business, and you don't make as much money until you start working with the high-end clients. And so once I got into that door, things just opened up for me.
Oh, what a resilience. I love that. The entrepreneur side of it is always so fascinating to me because you find something you're passionate about and you start it, but it takes, again, that resilience and that time and that continued effort of keeping it growing and believing in yourself. Because it can be really easy to quit during that entrepreneur journey, and you didn't. And look at you now.
And it's been so hard. It's like,
Yeah.
Erica, it's so hard because I am a fabulous organizer. I can say that with confidence. But like I said, I'm dyslexic. I never even finished college. I never even took more than general math in high school because my math skills are so low. And I always had that drive and that desire. I wanted to do well. I wanted to be that straight A student. I mean, I'm an incredibly hard worker, motivated, determined. And to not be able to move forward in school was so hard for me. I started getting ulcers at age 12, just the stress of not being able to understand. And we didn't know I was dyslexic until my senior year in high school. I didn't get the help that I needed for it. So for me to run a business, it's been a struggle. Things take me way longer than they would the normal person. I work 16-hour days every day. I'm usually at my computer till 1 a.m. And it takes me longer to figure things out. But it's like, man, if I can do it, anyone in America can do it. There's so many amazing opportunities that we have out there. So,
Oh, that's so cool. What a great journey. I want to dive in a little bit so our listeners can hear a bit about organizing because I know everybody that's listening is itching to hear because, again, it can be so overwhelming at times. So
yeah.
let's start with the basics. Like if you're meeting with someone, like how do you even know where to start?
Well, we tell people there so often when people are overwhelmed, they don't know where to start, but we do. And, you want to start in the areas that you live in the most. Usually we start in the kitchen and pantry because that's where every family member lives and spends most of their time. So that's usually where we start. And then next we go into the primary bedroom and bathroom. Again, that is where our clients live the rest of the time. And you want the place that you are the most to be clean and tidy. And if you are organizing on your own, though, I would say to start, I always say start small. And so if kitchen and pantry are what you want to organize, don't take on a big, well, I'm going to bring in all the beautiful baskets and do this big project. The first thing you have to do is declutter. I mean, always. The smaller amount of things that you have, the easier it is going to be to keep up. And we have way too much stuff as Americans, way too much. I know my husband and I lived in my brother's little trailer for a couple weeks. While we were there, we had our laptops, our simple clothes, our simple food. And after 2 weeks of living like that, we thought, why do we have so much stuff? This is all we need. And we always, whatever our space is, we fill that space. So we should only keep what we are using and love. And even if it's things that you love, Marie Kondo says, oh, only keep what you love. I say only keep what you have space for the space that you've designated for that item, only keep what fits in that space. So if you've designated this bar for your shirts and only 30 shirts fit in it, but you have 60, pick your favorite 30 and don't even look back at the rest. Go through and don't say, oh, I love this. Oh, I love this, because most of our clients love everything.
Right.
Or paid a lot of money for it, so they want to hold on to it. But if you're not using it, it's just weighing you down. And so keep what fits in the space. If you're cleaning out your kitchen and you gather, today you're going to go through all of your appliances, small appliances, bring them all out. They're all in different places. Bring them all together, lay them out and say, okay, what do I actually use? And where am I going to store them? So find out where you store them and only put what fits. And if it's like, God, I've got to get rid of 2 things, what 2 things don't you use that you only use once a year or maybe in a life? Get rid of it and only keep what fits in that space. That's huge. So designate a space. When you're in your kitchen too, when you're stovetop tools, if you say, here's the drawer that I'm going to keep all my stovetop tools in, pull them all out, lay them on a counter on a clean, open space so that you can think clearly. You don't just dig in the drawer. You have to pull it out. So clear a counter, pull all of them out, and you're going to have them in multiple drawers most likely. But you should have a drawer for your food prep, a drawer for your baking, and a drawer for your stovetop. So this is just stovetop that you would use on your stove. Lay them all out, and then you'll see, oh, I have 5 spatulas, but God, I'm not going to have room for 5. Well, I love these 3. I'll just keep these 3, and you get rid of those 2. And then you pull out, oh, your spoons. Wow, I've got this many spoons. Well, this fits. Then put back what fits and just put your favorites in. And then whatever's left on the counter, say, you know what? I have everything that I need. Even though I love all this on the counter, I love having multiple sizes. I love having it doesn't fit. Get rid of it. So keep what fits in that space that you've designated. And that's really going to help you make decisions.
Do you have advice as far as designating space? If I even back it up a little bit more, because even that seems a little overwhelming.
Yes. So you want to designate a space for where you use things. So if you pack lunches a lot for your kids, you want to have everything you need to pack lunches in one area. So you'll have your baggies in the top drawer, and then maybe your Tupperware food keepers the next, maybe, and then lunch boxes, paper bags at the bottom drawer. So you have one bay. So all those things to do with food keeping are in one bay area that is closest to where your food is. Stovetop, of course, you want by the stove. Your dish towels you want right where you can reach them, right at the sink. Where you use things is where you should store things. peanut butter and jelly. I know my husband years ago, I had that when I organized my pantry for the first time, 100 years ago. And I didn't know about the food tiered shelves. He cut wood so that I could stack my cans, and it was crazy. But I had a nice place for his peanut butter and jelly and bread, which he liked to eat all the time. He's like, Tracy, I don't like it in the pantry. I use it over here. I want it over here by the toaster. And it's like, oh, damn, that's not where food goes. And it really bothered me. And then I thought, so I moved it all over, made it nice. And he's like, this just makes sense. And I thought, you know what? That does make sense. So then when I started doing Instagram and stuff, I shared that. It's like breads and spreads should be next to the toaster because that's where you use them. And then I started hearing other organizers over the years, bread and spread should be next to the toaster because that's where you use them. I don't know if they got that from me or if it's just, hey, what a novel idea. And cereal, some people have it in their pantry, but if there's room in the kitchen next to the bowls and the milk and you just have your morning routine in a cabinet, if you have the space for that, that's ideal too. So you want as few steps as possible. Where do you use these things? And try and create a space there. Knives should be next to the cutting boards, if possible. It's not always possible, right? But we like to keep all baking together. So even though all your food could be in a pantry, we might have a cabinet in the kitchen just for baking, for all the baking goods. And then you open the drawer and the baking tools, the measuring cups, everything are there right next to where the mixer sits. That's ideal. You can't always do it, but you want to strive to do that. You want to strive for it.
Yeah, and every room is just a whole new imagination station, because you have so many ways that you can redo it and evaluate it. I'm like doing a visual walkthrough of my house right now as we're talking for
so
sure.
So it's like where you get dressed, move to the closet. Where do you get dressed in the morning? Why have your underwear way out in your bedroom when you're getting dressed in your kitchen in your closet right after you shower, right? So you want move your underwear, even if you have to put it in a basket, have it in your closet where you're getting dressed. The things you have in your dresser out in the other room are things you don't use often, bathing suits, off-season clothes. If you don't wear pajamas very often, keep the pajamas out there. The things you don't use often, special accessories, keep out in those drawers. But in your closet, you want everything that you would use that morning together in one place. For shoes, though a lot of people take their shoes off as soon as they come into the house. If that's your home, your shoes shouldn't be in your closet. They should be out by the door. Have a shoe system in your garage or in your mudroom or wherever you are so that you can take off and put your shoes on right where you take them off and put them on instead of in your closet. Maybe just keep, fancy shoes you don't use often in your closet out of the way. But the things you're using on a daily, you want to keep right where you use them. And, you can do this if the things you don't use often are, hopefully you get rid of them if you really don't use them, or you put them way up high. If it's something you only use once in a while, it should not be anywhere near you visually. You need to save that valuable real estate for the things that you're using on a daily basis.
Do you have advice for like parents of younger children when you're dealing with the toys or the books or, that type of clutter? Because then they take it, they don't always put it away, but again, finding a place to put it helps. But what other advice do you have for those parents?
The number one thing is to bin up all the toys in nice bins. The Container Store bins are my favorite because they come in 10 sizes. So you can really utilize the space. If you have a little something, you put it in a little bin. Bigger, you put it in a bigger. Helps you really utilize that space. But you want all the toys with parts, as many as possible, to be put in bins and labeled and stacked in a closet, somewhere where the kids hopefully don't have easy access to it, but out of the way. And what you have down low are maybe some cubbies that are easy for the kids to just throw toys in, but you have just a very few toys at a time. Often in the cubbies, we put things like, loose balls or stuffies, things that don't have parts. If something has parts, the parts need to go up, because you could pay us $1,000 to clean up your toy room, and then it's going to be a mess like that. If we just organize it in bins where the kids are, don't put them where the kids are.
Mm.
Put them up, and then you take things down, one or two things at a time. And then the kids have to learn to pick them up, give them back to mom before you get anything else. And that's going to make it easier for them. We have, I had clients, I'm thinking of one client years ago who really struggled with clutter in her house. And her bedroom was an absolute disaster, which is fine because she was doing the best she can. She hired us to help her. But she would tell her kids when they'd come in, clean up that room. It's a disaster. And this is what I have to deal with all day, she would say. And I'm like, well, look at your room. Why are you yelling at him? It's hard for you, right? And you're an adult. And look at how hard it is for you. Let's not yell at the kids. You should understand it's hard. It's overwhelming for a kid. Don't ever yell at your kid because their room is a mess. Get in there and help them. Make it fun. Turn on the music. Make it a pleasant experience. No one should ever get yelled at for this. Help them so it's enjoyable, and see, God, doesn't this feel so much better, when it's done? And now we have a place for your robes. We have this hook. Isn't this fun? Help them be part of it.
Well, one thing you brought up is, for the kids to have the toys put in a closet or somewhere else. And the other point about that is when kids don't have all of it in front of them, when they bring it back out again, it's like a new toy. Whereas if they have all their toys out all the time, they don't like any of it. They'd rather have a cardboard box,
Absolutely.
So it definitely gives them that appreciation.
The kids get so excited when we have cleaned up playroom and they come in and they're like, oh, look at my room. And the couple things that are in the bins that they pull out, they start playing with it right away. And the moms always say, wow, they haven't played with that for years. It's like, yeah, even though it's out, they can see clearly when it's just a little of this and a little of that instead of mess everywhere. Absolutely.
You have wonderful displays of all, like you mentioned, the containers or baskets. And, there's so much available for us now, thanks to Amazon as well. So do you have a favorite? And you mentioned that container store, but is there like a different style of storage that's unique that you love?
Okay, so this is so important, Erica. Containers become clutter so quickly. And people who have that organized mind, but they just don't know what to do, they buy containers. Oh, this was a cute container. Oh, this would be perfect for the homework station. Oh, I bet I could use this somewhere. And they just buy containers. We like to keep things as simple. You do not want a million different containers. We do like from the container store, and I know the container store can be expensive, but if you get things, they're 30% off all the time. And out of all the bins out there, there's a lot of stuff we get on Amazon, but the couple things that we use all the time, I'm going to tell you what the three most common things we use, and we get them all at the container store just because they come in so many sizes. And it's the hour boxes, which I talked about, that have 10 different sizes. They're all clear lid, and they're perfect for toys and more indoor things. They're not super heavy duty for like garage or whatever, but we use those, and you can use them throughout your house. And that we call that translucent. It's plastic. So when you use translucent, you want to keep translucent in one area, acrylic in another. You don't want to match them. So think about that. So you use the hour bins, and the multi-purpose bins are also plastic, but they're open vertical containers that help you use this space. So we use that a lot. That, like I said, with toys and the vertical multi-purpose bins, you can put spiral notebooks and books and things in those things you want vertical. And then our other favorite are the everything pantry bins from the container store. We like those because they come in 8 different sizes. So there's 2 depths. There's, for a 12-inch shelf, and then for the deeper shelf. So there's 2 different depths, but there's 4 widths in each of those. So 8 different sizes to choose from. So we use those in every room, in every house, high end, the everyday house. It doesn't matter. We always use those. And the reason why is because they are so versatile and you can use them everywhere. So you can move them around throughout your house. We even put them in the fridge. We organize the fridge with them. So keep simple. Don't buy a bunch of different containers all over. Think of those few things are huge. If you just had those few bins, you could organize your whole house. And that's what you want. We also want drawer organizers, but we also get those at the Container Store because they come in 8 different sizes and you can buy however many you need of each size. They're so much cheaper on Amazon, but you have to buy them in sets and you have to buy 3 different sets to get all the sizes. And even then, you're missing a size. The 3x12 doesn't come in that. And so only the Container Store has that. And those are the everything drawer organizers, is what we get from the Container Store as well.
That's interesting because you're right. If you're buying them on Amazon, you're going to get the same sizes. You have to buy multiple to get what you need.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
you're buying so many, and and we always suggest you buy a big stack of each size, play with it. You're playing Tetris until it fits. You want a specific container for each item. You don't want just one big container and you throw a bunch of things in it. No, everything should have its own little container. Then it has a home. If it's just a bunch in a bigger container, a bunch of stuff's going to get thrown in there and it's going to be chaos again. So, having the 8 sizes of the drawer organizer is awesome. Then you can fit anything.
I'm just so satisfying. I had a junk drawer that ended up with, phone cords and plugs and all that type of thing. And so I bought the little containers and I put a certain type of phone cord because I all have different adapters in one container and I put a label on it. Yeah. And so now this is almost a year later, I opened that drawer and it's got the nice little boxes with the labels and it still satisfies me to this day.
That's exactly what you want to do.
Fun. So do you have any success stories that are your favorites for people that you're able to go in and just really change their life?
A few months ago, we helped a mom who was recently divorced. She had 3 little kids. She was very sad, very overwhelmed, a school teacher, and trying in her home. She just moved into this little apartment from a house with her kids, and she just had piles of stuff everywhere. And her sweet mom, paid for us to come and help her. And she said, there was just piles of clothes in the laundry room and in there everywhere. And she says, you know what? I don't even need these. I don't even know where to begin. She says, I don't care if we get rid of all of this. I only want the basics. I just don't know where to begin. And that is often the case. You just need the time designated. Okay, today's the day we're going to do it. And you need somebody to help you make those decisions and help you lay them out so you see them clearly, sort them out. So that's what we were able to do for her. And she got rid of probably 50% of her clothes. I mean,
wow.
At least 50% of her clothes. When we left, we washed all the laundry. If you're organizing your clothes, make sure you wash all the laundry first. Somebody out there, if you're overwhelmed with laundry and kids and things and it's don't know where to begin, make all their beds, have a nice clean space on every bed, and just start throwing the clothes on their bed. Do all the laundry as it comes out, throw it on their bed, so that all of Susie's clothes that she owns that are loose are on her bed. And once all the laundry's done, everything's off the floor, nothing's under the bed, all their clothes are there, then you can see what they have. Then you start folding and, you put the categories for just that one child, put the categories together and say, okay, here's all their shirts. This is what will fit in the drawer. What are your favorites? She picked out her favorites. They fit in the drawer. We got rid of the rest. She didn't even turn back. She was so good about it. Of course, happy tears. We love happy tears. And her mom said that because everything in that apartment had a place, anything that didn't fit was taken away. We took van loads of stuff away. Everything was taken away. It's only what fits. And her mom said, we did this, I think it was back in June last year, but her mom came to visit for Christmas, and again, happy tears. She goes, I can't tell you how this has changed her life. She says, everything still has a home. I cannot even believe it. Her mom was just so happy and couldn't believe the calm and peace that was still in her home months later because everything had a home. And we love being able to do that. That was
Oh, that's
so fun.
so cool. Because you're kind of held hostage sometimes by all your stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And when you're overwhelmed and don't know where to begin, that's hard.
It is. And life is busy.
And one other thing that you can do, just kind of a fun thing, is Peter Walsh. I don't know if you know who he is. He was Oprah Winfrey's organizing guru. He said to play the trash bag tango if you're overwhelmed. And he says that you get two black trash bags and you do the tango as you walk around the house, and you tell yourself every day that you are going to fill up one bag of trash and one bag of donations. And he says, if you do that every day for a month, you will have taken out 60 trash bags of stuff out of your house. And he says, if you're really looking for it, it's amazing what you can find. Yeah, we don't need this. We don't need this. And oh, this is trash. I've needed to get rid of this. Sometimes we look at things and think, oh yeah, when I clean, or next time I go to donation center, I'm going to grab this. And next time I clean, I'm going to get rid of that. No, you do it right then. If you have trash, broken things, put it outside by the dumpster. Get it out of your house. If there's things you're going to donate, even if it's a big item, put it in the garage. Get it out of your house. Have that trash bag or basket in the laundry room that you fill every time you're doing laundry. If you're not going to use it, it doesn't fit anymore. Get rid of it right away. There's donation centers everywhere. There's some people who think, well, I want to make sure it goes to the right place, but I'm not going to be out that direction for a long time and it just sits and sits. Or I want to get this to my friend. Your friend doesn't need it. That's nice that you want to give it to her. But I tell people, think about, it doesn't matter what donation center it is. If somebody goes into the donation center and they're going to pay money for what you just gave them, it's going to get used. You've made their day. If it costs a lot of money and you're having a hard time getting rid of it, think about how thrilled somebody is going to be who cannot afford that normally, who's going to be able to afford it. It's like you are going to make somebody's day. Give, be willing to give, and know that, and picture somebody getting this expensive item and how much it's going to make their day. It doesn't have to go to somebody you know. It doesn't have to go to a friend. It doesn't have to go to that special donation center. Just get it out of your house and you're going to make somebody happy. Done.
I'm so glad you talked about that because, for me, coming from, when I was young, I was a single mom, so I had no money. And so I would love going to garage sales to buy clothes for my son because you could get so much for little, right?
Right.
It's always been, the way I grew up, I didn't want to waste anything. So the thought of just, throwing clothes away, I could never, I still.
Right.
But the donation, there are so many places where we can donate. There's thankfully so many thrift stores. And like you said, what a value for people that are going in to be able to find a bargain on something that they can now love and just taking joy. And that is really, really cool.
Right. No, and you just have to think about that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get it. I understand too. I've, paid for dresses for my kids' weddings. I've had 5 weddings and have bought really nice outfits, but they're not ones that I wear again. And it's like, I just, for a while I had them sitting in my closet. It's like, I paid a lot of money for this. I've only worn it once. I'm not going to just get rid of it. And I finally did and thought, you know what? There's a mom out there who can't afford a beautiful gown for their son's wedding, and now they're going to be able to afford it. And I just did it and it felt great. It's like, yeah. I didn't need it in my closet. And if I have a special event that may come up someday, I'll buy something for that event. I don't have to use this one, and it's just going to get more and more out of style. So
that's true. I remind myself that too.
why hold on to it, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, you mentioned that you've had 5 weddings. So you go, you went through the whole process of having the 5 little ones at home and then them leaving the nest. So for all those people that are in that point where it's a new chapter and your kids are gone. That can be a time where you have to maybe go through the closet of the child who doesn't live there anymore. Those types of things. Do you have any suggestions
Oh,
finally on that? Because that can be hard.
okay. Talk about hard. So I hate stuff, obviously. I don't like clutter. I don't like knickknacks. I don't like a lot of stuff. I like just clean, simple. I can breathe, right? But when it comes to my kids' memories that I cherish, that is really hard for me. And so when we live in Utah now, we moved here about 7 years ago, but when we lived in California, there was no basements. My husband built an attic space where I could store my kids' memories in boxes because I didn't have anywhere to put them. So he made put down this floor. I had this nice big space. So what I did, we lived in that house for 22 years. So the end of each of my kids had a box. Once that box was filled, I just threw it up in that attic space, nice and organized, all in bins, all up there, beautiful. I didn't think about it. Boom, would go up there. When we moved, when we needed to move, it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with all this stuff? We started pulling things down. My daughter lived in San Diego. She came over one day and we just pulled all of her stuff down, starting with Chelsea. She had 10 large boxes of memories, and we had to go through all of them. We pulled everything out. We took pictures of everything that she cared about. She threw away what she didn't care about, and she went home with one small bin of tangible things she wanted to hold on to. So once we took all the pictures, she left with all this stuff. We had one empty room because we were moving, that it was just filled this room. And she's like, "Okay, Mom, I'm gonna go make a book at Costco. As soon as it's good, you can throw it away." So she called me and said, "Okay, went through all the pictures, it's good, throw it away." I'm like, "Well, wait, you want me to really throw all this away?" She goes, "Mom, I don't need it. I took what I wanted. I have pictures of everything, throw it away." That was so hard for me. So I started gathering this stuff, and I was walking to the trash can, and I was not just crying, I was sobbing, rubbing her little skirt she made in her home ec class. It's like she made this, touching the little clay things that she made. I thought she was in third grade. I remember her bringing this home, it was so hard. And I called her and said, "Chelsea, I just can't do it. Are you sure you want to get rid of this?" And she's like, "Mom, I'm going to tell your clients this is terrible. You tell them to throw stuff away. What's wrong with you?" It's like, yeah, it's different when it's me. It's so easy for me to tell people to throw things away, but it's hard. And I think that was a really good thing for me to go through. I did pull out a couple things I just could not let go of, but I threw things away, sobbing. But now then she brings over this book that she had made for $20. When you digitize it, don't think, "Oh, I have to put it in order by grade or by school." No, don't. You'll never do it. Just take pictures of everything. Just throw it in a book. You can, with a pencil, go in and write notes later. It doesn't matter. But now she has this coffee table book that her kids can look at, and they say, "Oh, Mom, look, you made this too." It's like, yeah, I was in third grade too. They're looking at those things and enjoying them. If they were in a bin in the basement or in the attic, they would not be enjoyed. They are being enjoyed. The kids see everything she's done, everything that she's proud of. It's at their fingertips, and I don't have 10 boxes in my attic anymore. And so I did get rid of them, and it was amazing. But just know it's hard, but I haven't looked back. There's nothing that I threw away that I said, "Oh, I wish I kept that," because she has a picture of it. Especially like big trophies and things. That's like, no, you don't want to store big trophies. But you think, "Oh, but that trophy was so expensive." Yes, it was so expensive. And it was awesome when you got it, but you don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
That's something you can donate as well. They take the plaques off, and other people are thrilled to be able to buy them and put their own little plaque on it. Get rid of it.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that the digitizing, because that's something, back in my day, we didn't have digital pictures.
Right.
But, and so much of our photos that we take now are in our phone photo albums. So we don't have the pictures that aren't great quality that we kept from when we were little. But it's
Right.
great to be able to take photos of the artwork and all the stuff that your kids did and be able to, save them in a different way.
And there's tons of apps out there that you can use, but even if you don't have any apps, just store it, create a folder on your phone with each of your kids' names. And as soon as you take that picture, just throw it in a folder. You don't have to, when you plan too much, if you think, oh, I want to get the app and I want to make sure I put them by the grades and I want to make sure I do this or that. No, if you start planning too much, it doesn't happen. Just take a freaking picture and throw it in a folder and you're done.
Yeah.
And over time, later down the road, when you have time, you can take those pictures and digitize it. But you don't even have to do that right now. Just get them in a folder.
Yeah, really good advice. Thank you for that. So in Utah, you have your Organize Simply. Do you do online coaching as well, or do you do just the in person send a team in, or what all do you incorporate?
Right. I had a virtual organizer who had a baby, doesn't work for me anymore. And I sometimes people beg and I still do it, but typically I don't do that virtual. Other than I help people plan when they're building a new home. And
Mm,
that's really, really helpful. And I'll never get rid of that service just because it's so helpful. Especially if we're going to be doing the organizing for them. There's so many things when people build a home that they don't think about. A lot of times the designers just want it beautiful and they're not thinking about, well, where the heck are you going to store that griddle? There's nowhere in there. And we've organized for multi-million dollar homes that didn't have a place to store their griddle. Or we had one place where the cabinet wasn't deep enough for the dishes that she had. And so there was nowhere to put the dishes. And, or in the closet, it's like, well, it's gorgeous closet, but it's like, okay, we can only fit half your clothes in here. Where are we going to put the other half?
right.
So it's nice to have an organizer walk you through your spaces with you, talking about what you have, what you need to make sure you have a space for. So I do that new build coaching, new build remodeling coaching. So I do that online, but then everything else is just going to the home. We have a team here in Utah. We also have one in Mesa, Arizona, and then we also travel if people need us to.
Oh, how fun. That's awesome. And then you also have your newsletter and your blog on your website, which has great information as well.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And following you on Instagram and seeing all your tips. It just makes me want to go home and organize even more. I love it so very much.
And it's our company is Organized Simply, but our Instagram is Organized with Tracy. So that's confusing. People have a hard time finding that, but that Organized with Tracy is our Instagram, where I do love to share tips for people who can't afford an organizer. I try and share as much as I can with the projects we do, what we do and how we do it, what product we use, the cheapest place to get it. There's some product that are half the price when you get them somewhere else. And I like to share all that information.
Oh, it is so inspiring because you just see an idea and you think, oh, that would look really great in my space. And it just starts to give you that motivation to start, because starting is really step one.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And if somebody wants to start, it's like start with just your junk drawer, pull it all out, clear off a space first, clear it all out and decide what you want back in there. And then play Tetris with those drawer organizers until it fits. Put your items in it, and then you might have to put it in a smaller container. I don't know, you play with it until it fits perfect. But that's what I say. Always just start with your junk drawer. That's a good, fun, easy one to do.
oh, it's so fun. I'm so excited. I'm going to go buy some containers and to start my junk drawer because I got one junk drawer done last year. I have one or two more to do.
Oh, good.
So before you mentioned where to find you on Instagram, and if you want to mention also your website, how people can find you.
It's just organized simply.com.
Perfect. And we'll put the links to your website and to your Instagram in the show notes so everybody can find that as well.
Awesome.
And then I'm going to wrap up today by asking you my final question. It's a two-part question, Tracy. So the first part is, if you, Tracy, today can have a conversation with your past self, maybe the one who's a senior in high school who, school is hard, what advice would you give to your past self?
To not be so hard on myself, give myself grace. I deal with a lot of people that struggle, and it just makes me so sad because they shouldn't. And their worth isn't built on whether they can keep a room organized or not, or whether they can get an A on a math test or not. I feel like if you're doing the best you can, we should be proud of that. And I wish I gave myself more grace.
I think we all do that. And you're right, especially we mentioned earlier in the show, with the clutter and the items, how some people just feel that shame or you shouldn't, you just every day we're a work in progress with everything in our life, for sure.
Right.
And the second part of my question is if you, Tracy, today can have a conversation with your future self, sitting with organized Tracy in the future, what question would you ask her and what do you think she would say back to you?
Oh, God, what would I ask her? I've never thought of that. Do you ask all your people this?
I do. It's my favorite question. Yes.
I think I would, no matter what, I'd want to just hug her and say, hey, you did the best you can, being afraid that I think we're just hard on ourselves. I'm still hard on myself, even though I say, give yourself grace. I look back and wish I wasn't so hard on myself as a child, but then I think, well, I'm still hard on myself now and compare myself with other organizers, other organizing companies. I mean, I think that's so natural to do. I think if I saw my future self, I would probably hug him and say, I know you, and I know you did the best that you could. So, I hope you just love yourself and are proud of what you've accomplished.
What do you think your future self would say back to you?
Probably, you're right, and I'm going to be better. Thanks for the reminder. I think we just need to remind ourselves that all the time.
I love it when the question to our past self directly correlates with our question to our future self, because then we realize we're always almost learning that same thing. We still have to be reminded of being that same person we were when we were young.
Right.
And just to kind of remind us that at some point we'll be looking back at who we are now and asking that same question. So,
right.
Wonderful. Well, I have no doubt that your future self will tell you you did amazing and you changed people's lives. And I can tell that you not only are you good at what you do, but you have that compassion. And anything when you're dealing with any type of business where you're helping other people, that is the key part of doing things for the right reason and finding that success because of it. So I can see that in you. And I thank you so much for joining me, for giving everybody these tips and that information.
Well, thank you, Erica. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for listening to the My Fit Tribe podcast. Tune in weekly for our latest episode for more health and wellness insights and inspiration. For more information, visit myfittribe.org. Don't forget to share, like, and download this episode, and thank you for your support. Please know that the opinions and comments presented here are those of the guests and do not necessarily constitute medical advice or the opinions of My Fit Tribe. Copyright 2026, all rights reserved. This podcast is recorded and produced by Jake Johnson at Paradigm Productions in Madison, Wisconsin, and is a production of My Fit Tribe, LLC.